Hello? How did you get this number? Don't you know he's listening? The 13. He's here.
You have entered the 13, a place where real stories about music, touring, and the beyond are told. Music does something to us. We all experience it in our own way. It can affect our senses, transport us through time, and release emotions. On this podcast, we will talk with people about the power of music and the beyond. What does the beyond mean? Let's find out together. Turn on your metronomes because this time is about to be tracked.
What's going on, motherfuckers out there on Earth and beyond the solar system?
What is going on, everybody? This is Ryan 13, and we are on the 13. Today, I have the almighty, the greatest riff master of all time, Big Bald Mike. How are you doing today, my friend?
Doing well. Good to see you again.
It's good to see you too, man. We haven't seen each other in real life in like a decade or more.
11 years.
It's been 11 years since we've seen each other in person. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
We need to change that.
It sounds good to me.
So,
Anytime.
Badass. So for the people who don't know you and don't know about you, tell the people a little bit about yourself and what you got going on.
Yeah, so I actually don't use the name Big Bald Mike anymore.
Oh, okay. Sorry. You want to redo that?
No, there's no need to redo. It's just I'm not as big and well, I guess I'm still as bald, but I'm definitely not as big as I used to be. And there's been some changes over the past, literally over the last decade, but in the last few years,
yeah,
for sure, there's been a rapid onset of all kinds of changes, physically, personally, just everything transformationally. So my nickname used to be Bone Breaker.
Right.
As some people might know, I opened it after I left the music and Hellraiser 13 and went on to other things. I ended up opening a gym called Bone Breaker Barbell. Bone Breaker was a nickname that I had from being a bouncer back in my late teens, and kind of picked it up again whenever I started, I guess you could say, getting on the internet. There was a bunch of vegans. I was in the vegan strength community, and they saw Big Bald Mike trains at Bone Breaker Barbell. Well, pretty soon they just started calling me Bone Breaker again.
Right.
And I was like, that works. And so, my whole life was a caricature. I played up the big giant, Hellraiser. And so that was appropriate and fitting. But after the events of the last few years have gone down, and I've kind of disappeared for all kinds of reasons that I'm happy to share any of that, to an extent. The shortened version, actually, where did that come from? So most people these days call me Bones.
Bones.
If you come to Austin, Texas, and you know anyone in my circle, and you say, who's Mike, or who's like, where's Big Bald Mike, where's Bone Breaker? No, they're not going to have a clue. But if you say Bones, they'll be like, oh yeah, you knew about Bones.
Okay.
It seemed like a less kind of, I tried to get rid of that whole badass image because that was never really who I was. It was never really that giant bone breaker goofy character.
Right.
It's not that I tried to deceive people. I was actually deceiving myself.
Sure.
So, I deceived myself with the persona for a long time for, a lot of reasons that I'm pouring into finishing up a documentary for 15 years and also a memoir. I've been writing a book for almost a decade at this point.
Wow.
But the story just kept evolving. I wasn't telling the truth. So anyways, big complicated mess. I wound up being Bones because whenever I was living out in Phoenix, so I ended up closing my gym down in 2017 and headed for Los Angeles. I thought, maybe, I'll find some redemption out there and get another TV show going. As you know, I was candidate for quite a few television shows back in the day with, the personal story of how I overcame a bunch of adversity and used pro wrestling and music as that you know, when we were doing the band and I was pro wrestling at the same time. You know,
Right.
they thought that was an interesting narrative, and so we wound up, you know, I wound up getting a lot of media coming after me, and so I thought, hey, this is my one last chance. Anyways, in LA, I never made it there. I ended up like a UFO. I just crashed in the desert in Phoenix and stayed there for 18 months, and I was living in a gym. I was homeless, living out of my truck until my truck got repossessed while I was eating some vegan Chinese food one day.
Oh shit.
And then I moved into a gym and in like a storage closet, and they had a former NFL player there who had a big fitness boot camp, and we were working out together all the time. His name was Dante Mock. Yeah, that was his name.
Okay.
What a bad motherfucker he was.
Hell
And
yeah.
he just started calling me Bones, you know, because I went around saying, hey, I'm Bones.
Right.
A lot of people probably remember the voice. They probably coming back to Austin, nobody recognizing me because I was completely different with my aesthetic and the things I'm involved in now. And so first thing people say when they see me is they're like, what happened to the voice? I mean, I can't even mimic how my voice used to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I can't even do it anymore.
Like we need to go back and watch the YouTube video of you talking about Bob Ross. That was Bone Breaker.
Oh my gosh, that's
Leave Bob Ross alone. I can't do it either because you had a big grizzly fucking voice.
And that, I mean, yeah. And my chest cavity was also probably about 20 inches bigger back then.
Sure.
So it gave a lot of a resonance for that sound.
Absolutely.
But anyways, I'm just walking around the gym out there in Arizona, like, you know, I am Bone Breaker. And anyways, Dante Mock started calling me Bones. When I got back to Austin, I didn't want anybody really knowing who I was. I didn't want anyone knowing my backstory because I had to put quite a few pieces of my life back together. And I didn't want to come back to Austin, but I wound up here.
Sure.
2019. And so anyways, that was a long rambling tangent of like why my name has changed, but it's I only go by Bones these days.
Okay,
or
Bones.
sometimes it's something else, but probably save that story for a little bit later.
Okay, right on, man. Well, all right, Bones, or can I still call you Mike though?
Sure. I respond to it.
I respond to it. I mean, I've known, so for everyone who's listening, I've known Mike since I was 12, I think. So not what, 1996, something like that.
1996.
And, so you used to live, when I first met Gabe and Kelly, y'all lived in a house across from Katy High School. And I met them on the bus, but then later you guys moved down the street, not too far away to Hoyt Lane, and you lived a cow pasture away from me. And then I would walk through the cow pasture to come hang out with you guys and Chad and whoever else lived on that street. And so and then you played guitar. So you got to imagine I'm this 12-year-old kid who has a guitar, who does not know how to play it. And I walk over to this, kid's house, Gabe, I know. And there's his brother playing this Ibanez, shredding on it with what did you have? You had a crate blue. That wasn't a blue voodoo. It was Excalibur.
Excalibur.
Yeah. You had a crate Excalibur, dude, shredding on it. And I was like, I gotta be friends with this dude.
Yeah.
And that's how we met. And years go by and we were in several different bands, Southern Metal Project. There was one before that. I don't even remember what the name of it was.
We never had an official name, but you had a list one time.
Yeah.
Just this huge list. And I was thinking, let's pick this one. And you had said 1/3 of a face.
1/3 of a face.
You were out of your mind back then, man.
I was
having
a lot of acid back then.
That's right. Yeah, you were the acid man. And so
1/3 of a face. I forgot about that. I think I even made a sticker for it.
Probably. And the project absolutely never consecrated, but I thought that, okay, of all the names, that's the one to go with. But
yeah, we never played a show or anything. We played for the neighborhood kids, and one time we played our best song over and over and over again, hoping that Doug Pinnick would walk in the door because he was coming to pick me up. You remember that? Like he was coming to pick me up, and we're like, well, let's
Yes,
just keep playing. And he'll walk in and be like, wow, this is great. And we played that song. I was like, we'll play it again. We played that song like 20 times. And I think
my
he
God,
paged
no.
me. I think I had a pager at the time, and he had like paged me like 50 times. Like, I'm out front, dude.
Yeah. Well, it's a weird story too, because there was probably a part of him. He never came in that house. Actually, to divert a little bit, a weird story. The guitarist and other vocalist of King's X, Ty Tabor, his son ended up going to prom with my sister.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I'm in the living room, and I see Ty Tabor walking up to my driveway.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what in the fuck is going on? Like, and so I run and go answer the door, and I'm like, and I didn't see Josh, that's his son.
Yeah.
I just saw Ty walking up, and I ran out of that living room to come over to the front door. And
that was a house on Avenue B, right?
I don't know. It was the one. It was the house that the King's X actually had a history with. Yeah.
Right.
Anyways, Ty comes up to the front door, and I'm like, oh, Josh, what's up? He goes, oh, I'm going to your prom with your sister. And I said, oh, I didn't know. And then Josh just does this. Well, here it is. And I'm like, hi there, Mr. Tabor. He just goes, Ty. I'm like, okay, Ty. So he comes in the house, and he's got like these crazy eyes, because I don't know how long it had been since he had been in that house, but
yeah.
And then we started going back into the room, which was like this kind of weird garage converted into a basement. He was like, this was a recording studio. And then there was this other room, kind of with stained glass on it. And he goes, that was a video editing room. So he's literally like walking through, giving me the tour of that house, and, you know, how. So Doug probably didn't walk in to listen to us play into our Nintendo music, because maybe he was just like, I don't want to go up that driveway.
Right. Yeah. I loved that house. I loved when we were in that band, 1/3 of a Face or whatever. And I would sleep on the floor with Colt. Colt had the bed. I slept on the floor. You slept in that video editing room or whatever, or the control room. And we would go to sleep listening to Lacuna Coil. That was like the first time I'd ever heard Lacuna Coil. I think it was their first album.
No, it was the third. It was the Unleashed Memories record.
Oh, okay. And I just remembered thinking, I'd never heard a girl sing over metal before, and how beautiful she was. And I'm still a huge fan of Lacuna Coil to this day.
Christina Scadia.
Yeah.
Probably not the right pronunciation, but yeah, she was she was very, very badass.
Have you heard their latest record that came out like during the pandemic? It was heavy.
Sure.
Buck. It was so good. I love it. I'm a big fan still. And by the way,
they continue to put out music that has their defined sound.
Yeah.
And it just somehow it sounds badass every single time.
I know. And like I feel like they're maybe for a minute there, some of it was a little like, okay, yeah, this is Lacuna Coil. But like that last record, I was like, this is Lacuna Coil. Like hell yeah. But yeah, thank you for turning me on to them, because they're one of my lifelong bands. Man,
there's a lot of other funny things. There's some other funny shit that happened in the house. Who was your friend that used to crawl in the window after doing meth all night and like come for a beer?
Stefan.
What a character, man.
Yeah, Stefan. He'd be like, hey, what's going on, guys? You got a beer in here? Or he'd bring one.
Show up at 9 a.m, just,
He gave me dirt from Ed Gein's grave. You remember that?
Oh, I remember that.
And I brought it into the house, and like we had to get rid of it.
Oh yeah. My mom, being a Christian lady she is, that was, you were a very satanic young boy for doing something like that.
Right. It wasn't,
I remember it had like this little insert that said, this is the most evil dirt in the world.
Yeah.
And it had a picture of Ed Gein's grave, in like this little fucking like dime bag. So someone had printed that out and cut it. I mean, it was literally the size of a quarter.
Right.
And somehow all that detail of his grave and everything is there with the words on it, stuck in the bag. some dirt.
Some dirt from somebody's backyard, and you know, like
Right.
at Dean's grave. That's all you had to do back then. The internet was just starting to bloom.
You were only like 17 years old, so I mean, like to you, that was probably some of the coolest shit ever.
I believed the fuck out of it. I was like, whoa. I think Stefan gave me that. I think. So let's get down into the dirt. So anyway, yeah, we've known each other for a long time, and this set of podcasts that I've been doing has been talking with my friends I've toured with, and specifically friends I've toured with in Razor 13 / King's X, or worked with King's X. And you and I played in the band Razor 13 for many years. We went through a bunch of different singers and wound up with the lead singer of King's X to do the final record. Like everything fell into place. And it was crazy, man. It was crazy. Like all of our singers had their place and had their time, and we had fun with all of them. But it just wound up that Doug Pinnick was the man, and how like the musical gods graced us with that. I still don't understand why, but I'm glad they did.
Well, from what I remember, and I was on an extreme amount of opiates and alcohol back then, but from what I remember, after we departed ways with the third singer, I think I had told you and J-Rab, I'm going to trash the hard drives. I actually lived next to the recording studio. I had moved into a duplex next to the studio, so I was literally just walking across the gravel to go record the record for those 3 years that we were recording. I think I had said I was a very self-sabotaging, self-destructive person. You know, I had a lot of pain that I didn't tell anybody about. No one had any clue where that pain came from. And still no one knows the stories with it, but me and maybe a couple of people. But I think that what it was is I had said, I'm going to go over to Paul's. I had a key.
Yeah.
Paul, we're talking about Paul Sorowski from Podunk, who also has a recording studio in Austin. And I had a key to the studio, and I'm going to go grab those hard drives. And I'm going to like smash them, piss all over them. And I think it was you. You must have called up Doug and been like, Mike's going to destroy the hard drives. And I don't really remember much after that. I remember going and getting the tattoos on my head afterwards after that big fight that we had with our last singer. And which, by the way, she's awesome. I ended up seeing her like years later. And we had a good, great conversation. But anyways, we next thing you know, we find ourselves at some barbecue restaurant. Doug Pinnick's there, saying, "I'll sing on the record." And well, I guess I'm not so motivated to throw away that hard drive after all.
Right, dude. And we had written a lot. One of the reasons it was taking us so long in the studio was because we went from.
I was on drugs.
Well, I mean, so we're
I hit a heroin addiction. It was mostly opiates, which everyone knew I was popping those pills, but it was.
I did not know. Like to this day, had no idea you were popping pills back then. Like I knew you were drinking a lot. Like we'd be hanging out at the studio, and I watched you chug like a whole bottle of Gentleman Jack. Like me and Paul just sat there and watched you do it. I was like, holy fuck. And I mean, I saw you do stuff like that a lot, but I didn't know until after you got off of them that you were on them.
Yeah, man, there was another fellow musician who introduced me to these things called little yellow footballs.
Yeah.
I think they were called Norco 10-325s, and that combined with a Gentleman Jack or any other whiskey of choice. It was like 600 pounds at the time, and you would literally just start levitating. And you felt good. And so, of course I fucking hit that, because then everything would have been like wanting to do an intervention, and everybody drank, so no one was going to call me out for drinking. But so I think that's what it was. Is that
we also went through a couple of singers.
Well, we went through a few singers, but I also was. I extremely delayed the recording process, because could never get takes right, and I kept changing my mind. I was
Sure.
fucking whacked out of my mind.
Yeah, I remember.
I actually take a lot of blame for that. There's no reason that should have taken 3 years to do, even though it went through 3 singers.
Yeah, so we started going off. I don't know if Boss ever made it to that recording studio. Did Boss ever make it to that recording studio?
He did.
So it was like right in the beginning, but it was for a short period of time.
Because there were copies of him singing on those songs, Blacktooth Grin and
Well,
Pound Cake.
I don't remember him going. I'm not saying he didn't, because I mean, obviously back then everything's blurred out for all of us. But I remember we got Shannon from Black Market Halos to join the group for a while, and that helped us get even heavier. So because of his vocal,
definitely started going heavier in that direction. That's also around the time when we wrote the song for Mike Miller, the Rage for his WWE entrance music.
Absolutely.
And so that took the band in a heavier direction.
Feel the rage.
Yep, and we started getting heavier. You started writing things like Minister of Pain for another guy.
He was a MMA fighter.
Yep, and then it just wasn't working out. Shannon had to come a long way to rehearse and do
like
stuff.
He was coming from New Orleans, right?
Lafayette.
Somewhere in Louisiana, right?
Yeah, I think it was Lafayette or something. But yeah, over in that area. So it was really a long way.
Yeah.
And he would have to stay for long periods of time, and he had kids, and it was too much to do that and his other band. So we parted ways, and then we had Carrie show up, and then we parted ways with her. But when Carrie showed up, that made us, because we had female vocals, that made us transition to more melodic stuff while maintaining a heaviness, which altered the recording process. So like we wrote, I think you wrote like 20 songs or something total, at least for the record, and we came out with like 10. And if you think about how many songs we wrote just as Razor 13, 30? I don't know how many. There was a lot.
Something like that.
Just from the beginning to the end. We got 10 recorded and put out into the multiverse.
Right.
And there's a great
There's
record.
demos
And it sells,
of all those in some form somewhere.
And it sells on eBay for, what was it, $150 a piece or something? It's crazy.
What does the Razor 13 record?
Yeah.
Wow. It's pretty cool.
eBay, if anyone wants to eBay Razor 13 Reflections right now on your phone, it is it's for the cheap price of $150.
How many copies did that get pressed? I don't remember.
1,000. I think it was 1,000.
1,000.
There's only 1,000 copies of it, and that's why it's because it's Doug Pinnick's only thing that no one can get. You can get it online all you want, but people want the CD.
Fans want the liner notes. They want all that good stuff, and and anything Doug touches turns to royalty.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and they want to see our 24-page
incredible musicians of all time.
The most epic booklet for a first-time band
it's like
record. It's all the liner notes.
I think I even thanked vegetarian egg rolls at China Palace on Airport Boulevard. I think my liner notes took up an entire page.
Yeah, I think it was a page and a quarter. Like it was. I haven't looked at that record in a while, but it was a lot. You're like big
egg rolls. I think egg rolls.
Yeah. I think I kept my list kind of short because I knew Doug would keep his short, but Doug kept his even extra short. I was like, damn it. But yeah, that was a fun record, dude. I had a lot of fun making it. And so I want to talk about tour stories with you. And I want to go back to the Hellraiser tour. That's our first tour. This is 2006, like the beginning of 2006. Am I thinking right?
I want to say April, but I could be wrong.
Okay, so first quarter, sort of 2006. We are a brand new band because you came. First of all, a little backstory. You came to a King's X show in Dallas or Waco or Fort Worth or something.
At Trees in Dallas.
And then you brought me a bass guitar because you and me have been talking on the phone. And Boss brought me a bass guitar. It was the Telluride.
Okay.
You and Boss came, and like you and me had been talking, like, I want you to join my band at playing bass. And I'm like, I've been in 2 bands with this guy, and he kicked me out both times. At least that's how it felt. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll do it, whatever. But I also thought we were just bullshitting, because we would just talk about making music all the time. And I thought, yeah, it's gonna be another one of those things where we talk about it and maybe it comes true, maybe it doesn't. But then you guys showed up with this bass. And I was like, oh shit, they mean business. And then you're like, here's 2 songs, Blacktooth Grin and Life Uncertain. Learn these songs, learn how to play the bass.
How did I bring you those? As a cassette tape or something?
I think it was a cassette tape.
Yeah.
And because I don't know how you recorded it, but I think it was a cassette tape or a CD.
I had one of those cassette recorders that doctors would use for like dictation.
Oh, okay.
And I think I had played those on there, and then put that cassette into a stereo, played it on playback, and then made another tape recording to have like an overdub for like because everything I did had a guitar solo.
Yeah.
So I think he sang on, and then we put it in another tape deck, because there was multi tracks, but it was literally, we were just using tape decks and this dictation tape. So
wow,
I remember now. Wow.
Yeah, and so I got that was a crazy way to do it. I mean, that's cool. That's how to do it. But
I mean, that's like something someone would do in the 1970s.
Well, I mean, dude, you got even back then, it was so like, it's recording is nothing, how it is now. Sit down, you have a little interface, like you're making your own music, you sit down, have your interface, plug in your stuff, good to go. But back then it was like, okay, what do I have to engineer to make this happen?
Right.
Because everything else was so expensive, and we're just musicians, But
anyway, so the Dallas show, Trees.
Yeah, so you brought me the bass, finished the tour, introduced you to J-Rab, whatever.
Yeah,
J-Rab was the tech for King's X, and that was the first time I met him too, was on that tour. I guess he traveled to Marlin, and I went back home for the holidays, and after the holidays I came back. So this is like the new year. So it's 2006, maybe, or was it right after Christmas? I don't know if it was the new year, if it was right after Christmas or right after New Year's.
Yeah.
Okay. So I came right after Christmas, and then we started the band. And anyway, so 4 months later, we're on a fucking Hellraiser tour.
On a tour bus.
So, man, I just don't remember it being so fast, but it really was. That band was such a whirlwind. We came in, we had how long was our set? Our set was 30 minutes or something.
No way it was that long. It was 5 songs.
We had 5 songs. We went on tour with 5 songs.
Yeah. Now, let's not be misleading here.
Right.
My father was the sponsor of Razor 13, and he knew that in order for me to do anything with the levels of pain that I had because of my physical issues from all the drugs and alcohol I was doing, plus he kind of wanted to live a rock and roll lifestyle. He went into medicine instead of music, and he wanted to live vicariously, and so he was happy to do things like that. Yeah. I just don't want it to sound like we were together 4 months with 5 songs in.
Right.
Fucking Megaforce Records was putting us on tour with writers and all that. Sorry to burst the bubble, but there's lots of people that go out there and tour and have music videos, and they have people that believe in them that pay for it. I used to be embarrassed by that kind of thing, because it'd be like, well, but it's like we were there and we did it, and someone believed in us.
No, so. Doc, if your dad was here, I would definitely he would be part of this podcast, because he was definitely the 5th or 6th, whatever. He's part of the band. He was a member of the band 100%. And
which he was here too, man.
Yeah, he was fucking awesome, and we wouldn't have done any of the stuff we had done without him. I firmly believe that.
A very kind and compassionate man who really made an awesome opportunity for us.
He sure did. So we're on that Hellraiser tour, and I mean, dude, there's so many stories from that tour. I don't even know where to start, and there's some I don't even know if I want to talk about.
Well, first of all, tell the story about how we even, because the name in itself was pretty cool.
The
It's
Hellraiser
because
Tour.
Yeah, it's because of the other band, Six Past Hell.
Six Past Hell. They were another Houston area band that we played shows with and were good friends with. You introduced me to them, and then we went on tour with them. Hey, let's do this. We shared a tour bus. And
All the way to Los Angeles and back.
And that was fun. And then there was times that it was there. I mean, you put two bands on a bus, it's hard, it's hard. But I had a great time the whole time. We even met Carrie on that trip in Las Vegas.
That's right.
She came and she made a big old stink and was not having fun with our current lead singer at the time, Boss. But that was, man.
I remember that fight. Yeah.
Man. Anyway, so you got any stories from that you would like to share?
Well, yeah. But by the time I think I was sick for the first few dates. I think we started in Houston.
Yeah.
And then we played, I think we went all the way over to Lafayette and then Austin and San Antonio before we went all the way up on a long deadhead trip to LA.
Yeah.
I remember being sick for most of those four shows, some kind of bug or whatever. I mean, that bus was musty as fuck too, man. It was just like a 1993 Prevost bus that
was
probably
was
had
it George Lynch's bus?
Yeah, but I don't want to blame him.
No, we're not blaming him.
But I think
it was just an older bus.
I think the coach, I think it was his tour bus at one point, and I think that the company probably had changed the cabin filters for some time. And hey, it's rock and roll, so who knows what the fuck it's.
There were cigarette burns in my bunk.
Yeah,
like there's holes in it. I was like, man, that must have been George's.
And you would think with all those pills and bottles of whiskey I was putting away every day that my immune system would be like, really? A little old cigarette smoke in a tour bus bunk? And it did it. It got me congested. But no, when we made it to LA, the tour that I met J-Rab on, that we came to that show and brought you that bass, y'all were on tour with a band called Martyr.
Yeah, I fucking love Mardo. I wish.
How would you describe their sound? Like, what did they were kind of like the 70s. I remember the singer having like a theremin that he would,
Aaron Mardo.
Yeah. But so the guitarist lived in Hollywood.
Yep.
What was his name? Rob,
but what did we call him? Bobcat? Oh, that old Bobcat.
Yeah, he had his little curly hair. I mean, what a star he was. And
he invited us over to his house.
He picked us up and we showered there in Hollywood. And
we were in the Hollywood Hills and we could see the Hollywood sign.
Yeah. They took us to get like a big bucket of chicken. Fried chicken from somewhere he kept talking about. And then when we did that show, this is actually a good story. So a lot of people who don't know how touring works, normally you advance a show, you hope to have a following, you send out promotion material or a promoter does it for you, you show up, they pay you, you're done. The way it works in LA is that you have to pay to play the show. Yeah. A lot of people don't know about this, but I think we had to buy something like 30 tickets at $7 a pop. So I think it cost us $210, even though we're showing up on a tour bus, which doesn't really mean shit.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, and we were the headliner. We were the headliner at this show on Melrose Avenue.
At the Gig.
Was that the name of the place? Okay.
Yeah, it was called the Gig.
Yeah. So we show up there, and every band that played before us, and I think that Six Past Hell actually had a pretty good crowd because they had been on that TV show Battle for Ozfest.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we probably thought it was a good idea to tour with them because they had a big fan base in LA from that. Yeah.
I think they're about to go on tour again or something. About to do something.
I had no clue they were even getting back together. I love it. Anyways, I think that's how we made business since it like, hey, this is good exposure because they had a following in LA from that TV show.
Right.
Anyway, so by the time we go on, I remember thinking, this place is incredible because they had a curtain draw. So the curtain
Oh yeah,
raised up vertically. You remember this story?
I do. I mean, yeah, I do.
Yeah, this is terrible.
My first time playing, our first time playing LA, and yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so and everything goes fucking wrong. So what happened was the curtain raises vertically, and literally like a DJ announcer at a strip club with tons of enthusiasm. From Houston, Texas, welcome, Razor 13. And they had the smoke machines coming. That curtain draw came up, and as soon as I go to hit that first chord, C, like at that exact moment, the battery in my tube screamer just died.
Yeah.
We were sound checking and everything was working great. I go to hit that big opening chord right before the curtain finishes being up. And I go, it just goes, burn. And we all just look at each other. Because the thing is there was a lot of fantasizing on the way out there. Like,
oh yeah,
we've been together 4 months. We're on a tour bus. We're playing in LA. Who knows? There might be Sony and Capitol Records and Roadrunner. There's probably Roadrunner out there watching us.
Just watching the band. Yeah, watching the band, man. They go out to shows all the time.
So there was a lot of exactly kind of like in that movie American Satan that you turned me on to.
Oh man, that was such a good movie.
Yeah. So there was a lot of hype about this show, obviously. So as soon as that battery dies and I hit that chord, we just freeze. And I remember looking over at you, I look at and Boss, the singer, and everyone just, no one's doing anything. Neither am I. I just keep trying to squawk. And then people just start leaving.
Yep.
And
immediately,
finally, Scott from Six Past Hell, like runs over and just starts trying, because I had a huge pedal board with all kinds of pedals. Yeah. He just starts unplugging everything. And during that time, I happened to look over at you and you had this kind of look on your face where you like, and it slowly turned from a grin of just like embarrassment and hopes and dreams dying to eventually your head literally just started going. I feel that burn almost 20 years later, however long ago that was.
Man,
I feel that. Can you believe it?
It was a lesson.
In 2026, that will be 20 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, anyways,
wow, time flies.
Anyways, he gets things plugged up. We end up doing our set. There's like 5 people left in the bar at this point. I was like, no. Let's go get drunk.
Yeah, and we did. And the bartender loved us.
Of course they did, which makes no sense because, we didn't have that crew for them to put tips in their jar. But yes, but maybe they just liked our sound. They were like, maybe they're going to be the next Pantera.
Right.
Anyways, one cool takeaway from that is that we ended up getting to meet one of the singers of the band Brujeria.
Yeah.
Who was also a special effects horror movie guy in Hollywood.
Right.
And he was friends with everyone. Joey he knew everyone. He was such a cool guy. I ended up hanging out with him several times when I moved out to Phoenix, and I started to get another television show in development, and I'd go stop by his place. He lived in Beverly Hills in this little apartment. Wow. And but what had happened was that a tow truck was trying to tow his car, and I came and intervened, and so he was like, "Hey, thanks for having my back." Anyways, the reason why I went into that story is because Joey ended up dying last year, about this time last year. What a fighter he was! That guy had a real hard life, but man, he did so much cool shit, like that, touring with Brujeria, making guts for all of our favorite horror movies like Hostel and Wrong Turn and The Walking Dead. But anyways, that horrible experience on stage of embarrassment ended up being kind of cool that I ended up getting a friend out of that I
Yeah.
kept in communication with all the way up until passed away. So anyway, it was for anyone that remembers, Joey Munoz, respect.
Yeah, respect. It turned out that tour taught us a lot of things. It taught us a lot of things really quickly. I mean, checking your batteries, that's one good thing, we were able, because of your dad helping us out with that, we were able to not weren't skipping any steps because we still paid prices. We still had to learn the hard way, and just like any other band, except we were just able to start learning the hard way really, really fast.
Yeah, we weren't like, it wasn't like we're a bunch of spoiled brats. So,
Yeah.
Daddy's paying for shit. It was
Right.
I mean, everything that could have gone wrong still went wrong, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much money you have behind you. You don't have a stable group, and you don't have business acumen. And let's face it, having business acumen in the music business, that's the elusive Bigfoot. Show me proof of it. I still don't think it exists.
Sure.
Some people just get lucky.
Yeah, some people, and you got to be at the right place, the right time, all the time.
Yeah.
And eventually we were, but that was, the Hellraiser tour. I remember. So, okay, I got my story from that. Well, I got plenty of stories, but this is a good one. So we're in Vegas. We're playing the Cheyenne Saloon, and I go out and I see the people that are there for us. I don't know if they're there for us, but they're there because they're watching the band. I think we had a name for them, because they look like they were from The Hills Have Eyes or something.
Oh, like the Gumbies, they didn't have bones. Like
their
joints, like they were like bending, like they had no bone structure. It's like they were some kind of gelatinous material, and they were all like they were
it was weird.
They were. They all had like
super
bleached
awesome
white hair.
Yep.
And they were all dressed in black, and like the dad of the group, like the elder, was like his arms folded and his eyes rolled back, and he was just like,
yeah, they were fucking having a blast. I loved them, but we called them like
what the fuck are we? This is like mutants from fucking like Vegas desert nuclear experiments.
Right. That's what it felt like.
The Gumby girl, who was like moving like an alien with no bones, was just I thought I was on drugs, but I thought I was on hallucinogens.
Well, I know. I thought at the same time, you and me were like looking at each other like, what is going on here? But they were our biggest fans.
They were. I love them to death.
Yeah, that was super. That was super awesome. And I went back to the Cheyenne Saloon sometime later. I think you and me, maybe it was you and me, like when we went out there with Carrie, and we went back and went back and no one was playing that night, but the bartender and me went back into the bathroom and smoked weed. And I was like, this is so cool. I'm smoking weed.
That's when we drove out to Vegas to rehearse with her. Yeah.
And did we play a show out there with her, or was that only with Boss?
No, we didn't play a show with her there.
Okay. We just jammed in that recording
big rehearsal space, and then went to dinner with her and Chris Frazier, the badass drummer.
Yeah, I just saw a post from him. What band is he in now? Whitesnake or something? He's in something.
I know he played with Steve Vai, and then he also played with Tribe After Tribe.
I literally just saw a post.
The guy is like he's up there. Like he's up there with like Mike Mangini, Mike Portnoy, Dennis Chambers. I mean, that guy's a session drummer, but man, he's like.
I can't see it. I can't see him. Anyway, he just posted a
cool
photo. He's in Foreigner now.
Okay, that makes sense. He had a real interesting, like we actually jammed once at my dad's house in Marlin.
Yeah.
And he started doing this syncopated groove.
Yeah.
And I was like thinking like, okay, I've listened to prog metal. I'm a huge fan of Dream Theater. I'm a composer. I'm pretty good at counting. He was playing in 4/4 time, and it sounded like it was multiple polymeters stacked. I mean, it was just that guy was fucking incredible.
Good. Yeah.
But
he was super nice too.
The reason why I brought him up is because he had that rock star look.
Yeah.
And I remember us going to some Emerald, the guy that garlic.
Yeah, I remember going there.
Sprinkled some garlic on it. We went to his restaurant in Vegas, and a big group of German people thought that he was Bono
Yeah.
from U2.
Yeah.
And they stopped him and he goes, I'm sorry to disappoint you. And they're like, no, you're Bono. And then we just sat there because, you know, we all look like this hooligan crew. I'm wearing like a hillbilly hat and
Hat with the
overalls.
overalls, yeah.
And so
I have a
as we
picture.
leave, the whole table stands up and it's like clapping and they're like singing some U2 song.
I want to share my screen real quick with you and the audience. So here's my screen. Here's a picture of you and your dad at that restaurant.
Oh man, I've never seen that photo of him.
I have I got a bunch of photos from there and I can share them all with you. We were, I don't know, that's at that restaurant. Good old J-Rab. Remember that Razor 13 shirt?
I do.
He was making sure his Budweiser paired with his wine well.
Bro, the hospitality there were thinking we were some group of freaks.
Oh, look, Trump. There's a Trump hotel. That's funny. More. I guess I thought it was really funny if J-Rab was drinking Budweiser and wine at this fancy place. I took a lot of photos of him. There's me wearing your hat.
That's my hillbilly hat, right?
It's your hillbilly hat. Let's see if we can find a photo of you with this hillbilly hat. There's Carrie and Chris Frazier.
Oh, look at that. And then there's the waiter in the background probably looking at us like, who in the hell are these goons?
Yeah, these guys are a fucking trip, dude. We were a trip. There you are.
We were like bad dudes in like a cheesy 80s movie.
There's your dad and Betty. More Carrie. Wow, where is that? That's it. Somewhere.
That's Caesar's Palace, I think.
Oh, okay. Hanging out, getting ready to go out and have a good time. I miss my long red hair. I don't miss that shitty chin beard though.
Look at that thing.
It's the only thing I could grow. I still can't grow facial hair. I'm 40 years old.
It's a nice hotel room.
It was a nice hotel room. We had a lot of fun. So I got that. This is all from Vegas. So there's some from our rehearsal studio.
By the way, I still have about somewhere between 6 to 8 digital tapes.
We need
the video from that they need to be converted over to DVD.
100%.
I have no idea if they're any good. Holy
Man,
shit.
I forgot. That's your setup, dude. Look at that.
That's my old VHT and Mesa.
That thing was crunchy.
That's the power amp with those KT88s.
Yeah, that's right. There's Jared's butt. Oh my God, I missed that shirt. Henson sucks. It was all bleached out.
You and your Metallica wristbands.
My Metallica wristbands, dude. I wanted to be James Hetfield. Those were actually baseball wristbands.
Hey, they definitely help when you're sweating on stage.
What was that green pedal? Was that the Tube Screamer?
Yeah, because it's upside down. It looks like you're probably changing the battery or something.
Yeah. We learned our lessons. Change the battery.
Yeah.
J-Rab.
Sure did.
What else we got in here? These are kind of some cool photos. That was the guy that was running the place, right? This guy with the long hair.
Yeah, he looks like he would be like a crew member for Iron Maiden or something.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a super cool guy.
Kind of looks like Steve Harris section.
Yeah, he does.
Wow.
Anything? Oh, remember those shirts?
I love the Jerry Gaskell shirt. Shout out to Jerry Gaskell.
Yep. Shout out Joe Jerry, King's X. Anyway, I could show. Oh my God, look at the video camera. That's the footage you're talking about,
folks.
Right?
This was only
2006.
This is only like
2007.
16 years ago. Like iPhones weren't even out then.
Yep, iPhones weren't out then. Life was better.
Yeah.
Oh my God, my dime bag shorts.
Wait, go back one. Those are definitely done. Is that the Razorback? Okay.
That's the Razorback right there.
Oh man, beautiful.
Dime bag short. There it is. Betty. We just had a good old time, didn't we? Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh. Rockstar pose.
So.
But yeah, so those are some good photos. I got a bunch of those photos. I can send them all to you. I think Jason Peterson, was that his last name?
Yeah, Jason Peterson. I've known that guy since he was 5.
Yeah, he was on that trip with us, documenting it. He videotaped it,
Yep.
and that's why they got the
I
big
think
bald
we've got.
mic.
I think there's UFO footage too. We were being chased by a UFO out in New Mexico.
Yeah, and I remember, there's some of it is on YouTube. I don't know if it still is, but it's where you're going over the dam, the Hoover Dam.
Oh, dude, I'm so afraid of heights and winding down that mountain. This is before they built the Pat Tillman overpass.
They were building it they were.
So this is
in the
when you
middle
still
of
had to like wind down and wind up
Yeah.
the mountains, and then
Right.
you like go over. And I don't know. Then I just thought it was just going to be like a steep drop off, and so, yeah, that was wild.
Like, are we over it? Like, yeah, we're over it. Are we over it? Like, yeah, sure. And then you hear J-Rap, that's why there's observatory windows over there, and you turn and look, you're like, that was the best.
Yeah, I was also needing some pills, so it
Sure.
was like, let's get the fucking Vegas. Like, how much longer is it? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it wasn't much longer after that.
But yeah, I've got, I want to say at least 6 tapes of that trip, and I don't know what order they're in, but
Yeah. That I would love to see him, because that that was going to be our DVD, right? We were filming a DVD, and we never did. We ended up changing singers and dropped it. Well, we kept kind of going after we changed singers. I think Doug.
well, that's when Doug came in.
Yeah, then Doug came in, but then we were still videotaping afterwards. I don't know,
Oh,
because
okay.
I remember he came and interviewed me at your house next door to Paul's studio.
Oh,
and
okay.
and so there's like, I like went down to the street to the gas station and got like 3 24-ounce Budweisers and chugged one, and it was like, all right, film me. Because I'm nervous about that stuff. Every time I start a podcast, I'm physically shaking. I don't know why. Especially
Yeah.
the live ones. I did a live one the other day with Expanding Reality.
Yeah, I heard about that.
on
Looked like it was a
Saturday.
pretty big group of people, huh?
It was like 10 people total, and it was cool because I learned a whole bunch of stuff from the guys, but I didn't know where I fit in, because they knew a lot about the subjects that they were talking about, and
Oh,
I knew
okay.
a little bit about everything they were talking about, but not enough where I felt like I should speak, so I just kind of was like,
This is Brandon's podcast.
yeah, Brandon Thomas podcast. It's called Expanding Reality, and
Can't
it's
wait
super,
to listen.
yeah, it's super fun, man. Well, like, he normally just does individual ones, but on Saturdays he does these large group live hangs with all the other podcasters. So that's all those other people are doing podcasts. One of them was a comedian. I was talking to him about the House of Blues, because he used to work at the House of Blues, and I was like, what's the comedy place? He goes, oh, that's the Laugh Factory. I went back and watched this dude, all this stuff on YouTube. He's hilarious. I can't remember what his name was, Brian something.
That's the format now. People love the podcast format.
It's fun. I mean, this is fun. I'm enjoying this because I just get to hang out with you, and I'm going to record it and put it on the internet.
Sure, but people will sit there and listen to a 3 to 6 hour podcast,
Yeah, absolutely.
or they'll watch one. They'll not just listen; they'll actually just watch it. I mean, it's where a lot of people get a lot of information from.
Right.
They just it's interesting how it's taken over in so many ways as a form of digital media.
All right, so we've talked a little bit about some Razor 13 stories. We have plenty more we could talk about, but we also both kind of worked for King's X for a little bit. You did some security with them. You've been in a music video with them. You helped out.
About that.
Yeah.
Through the alligator.
You threw the alligator. Yeah. What's one of your favorite King's X stories from working with the guys?
Oh, I know the story, and it doesn't directly involve King's X, but it's involves like Jerry's son.
Sure.
So actually,
Which one? Joey?
Joey. Yeah. So Joey was Joey Gaskell. Love that guy.
I love him.
Where at King's X was playing at the same place where they filmed that video, where I threw the TV and they had me digitally throwing an alligator.
Yeah, the Meridian.
Was that the place? Okay.
I think so.
It was like over in the warehouse district.
Yeah.
So King's X was playing a show, and so backstage, that was a humongous backstage. That backstage was like its own hall.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they had a big upright piano back there.
Yep.
And you know, of course, you know, and it was good to see King's X. King's X, for people who don't know about King's X, their hometown shows, which, you know, Houston was their hometown for many years. The hometown shows are just, I mean, bodies are packed in like it's kids' last chance to see Slipknot. Like, I mean, it's just, and just, they don't even, they get overpowered by the vocals of the audience singing their songs. Like on Summerland, they usually just turn the microphones away because they're not going to be able to. I can't believe someone's on.
Yeah.
Like they can't even overpower, you know, 600 or 700 voices. And you, I remember you showing me video of that when you were over in Germany with them.
Yeah.
And so this was a great show, and like King's X, you know, the home show in Houston, like all the catering they had back there, but there was snacks galore, and just and our good friend Marzi, like Marzi Montessori, the you know, the virtuoso.
Oh yeah.
I can't even just call him a guitarist. That guy's a virtuoso of any instrument he picks up. But he was back there, and so we're just.
I got to get Marzi on this thing.
You should, man. I don't talk to him much anymore, but man, I've known him since
Mars Music
in 2001. Yeah, they hired me like a week after September 11th, like after the 9/11 deal. And anyways, yeah, that. So anyways, it's like a who's who of who's who.
Yeah.
Backstage at the King's X show, and I'm fascinated by this old upright piano. So I go over and start plucking on it, and there's a song called "Edge of Thorns" by a band called Sabotage, which was this 80s kind of like triumphant power metal band.
Yeah.
And it's a very distinct, you probably won't be able to hear it. I was going to just play it on my piano back there, but it's just in D minor. It's this, you know, and I start playing it, and Joey is just fucking loaded. Yeah. Just smiling. Like, if anyone doesn't know, like Jerry's son Joey, it's just such a big heart. The kid would do anything for you. I keep calling him a kid. You know, that's a big heart inside of a small person.
Right. Sure.
Anyways, he'd never seen me play piano, so he starts taking an interest, and you just have to know Joey's mannerisms to really think this is funny. So anyways, King's X is playing, and half of the audience seems to be back in this humongous green room. I'm playing the piano, and over all of that, Joey's focused in on what I'm doing, and he goes, "What is that?" And I go, "Oh, that's called Sabotage." I didn't even get to finish saying what song it was.
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, the Beastie Boys!" It starts like dancing. And it was just the funniest shit ever, because Beastie Boys has a song called Sabotage.
Right.
All he heard was sabotage, and he just starts and I mean, I don't know. And I guess, like, how does that relate to King's X? That just goes to show that I don't really have one special King's X memory. Any show I was at, and I've been to some out of town shows with y'all when y'all were doing the road crew. I wasn't a part of the permanent road crew, but I'd usually
show up and help out.
Yeah, like I remember Jay Phoebus, was his name Phoebus?
Yep, sound guy.
Yeah,
for
sound
like
guy.
Fucking years upon years.
Yeah, I remember him being like, that guy's not on insurance. He can't keep lifting Doug's bass caps off the stage.
Right.
And I think y'all were trying to explain, no, you don't understand. Big Bald Mike was a professional strongman. They was only weigh 150. He's had pizzas bigger than that.
Yeah.
But I would just like, y'all would wheel Doug shit. I'm just like lifting it. Anyways, but anyways, just this like every show there was a hometown Houston show. Usually just had so many good memories of so many awesome other musicians that would show up and support them. And so it just really speaks to their legacy of the path they carved in the music scene and had so much respect. But when you say a favorite King's X memory, I mean, I could talk about driving through Ty Tabor's lawn, but I won't go through there because it really wasn't a fun memory for me. But he called me afterwards, and we were all good. And when I actually saw King's X when they played Phoenix when I was living out there, and got to catch up with all of them, and they're like, "What are you doing out here?" And then I hadn't seen J-Rab
Yeah.
And he happened to be out there because I think he was living in Tucson at the time.
I think so too. Yeah.
But anyways, it would probably be just any hometown Houston King's X show.
Yeah.
You really walked out of there feeling like a winner. Just doing things like hanging out with people that were there to support his. It's like everybody showed up to. It's like everyone showing up to pay homage to Mother Teresa. Like that's the legacy they had. So.
Yeah, man. I have a lot of I have so many King's X memories because I toured with them for so long. Dude, I've had a lot of fun hanging out with you today. I've asked you every single one of my questions on my list. I would like to do this again at some point. I don't know if you want to talk about that, what you're doing currently, or you want to not talk about that.
No, I'm happy to. I've been in the process over the last few months of building my music studio back up, starting to acquire gear again, and because I lost everything being homeless.
Right.
Like a lot of stuff got stolen, got repossessed. When my truck got repossessed, the towing company took a bunch of my shit. Storage units broken into. It's not like I had a whole lot, but it adds up. The only thing I was able to salvage through all those moves of running from my life's problems was this 24-track Tascam that I never had plugged in until, like, literally, I had never even plugged it in and turned it on. That and those monitors back there, those KRK monitors.
Yeah, I can see them.
2 months ago, they got turned on when I decided that I was going to start working on being a composer again, following that dream. And 2 months later, I get my first offer to score a film. This film's gonna be a hit, man. It is incredible. A backstory on it is Onion Creek Productions. It's a big digital media company here in Austin. They have who has been filming my documentary since I used pro wrestling to get clean and sober, for lack of better words. Back in 2008, 2009, right before we started touring with, for that 1 year we toured with Doug doing some shows.
Yeah, for the record.
Anyways, this is their feature film, and it's a stoner comedy.
Oh, cool.
And it's fucking hilarious. But there's a I don't want to give it away, but there's a bigger social. There's a bigger conscious message in the theme of the movie. It's actually based on the film director's real life UT story of his first year when he went into film school and had a house, and some interesting characters showed up that altered the course of his life and his compassion for and here they are 25 years later making the movie. And there's a few scenes they actually listened to my Instagram where I just made a few piano string compositions over the last couple years since my dad died. And I've just used that Instagram as mainly I guess you could say just like a place to put stuff so I'll remember it and I can go back and work on it later, because you'll be able to attest to my not just hate but just fear of technology.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Like all these years, I never plugged up my 24 track.
Right.
Well, I took the money that they gave me from. So, anyways, they see a few of my Instagram videos and think that like I have the uplifting music that they want for the few of these scenes. So I got my first offer and I got paid already, and I took that and got a steal of a deal on a MacBook.
Hell yeah.
That I now have composer software, and I've already been. I think I've already scored about 3 cues, and this is like mostly symphonic, strings, piano, oboe, stuff like that, orchestral music.
Yeah, absolutely.
To give those scenes, but I just literally got that like 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah, and you've been sending me some stuff on Instagram and letting me listen to it, and I'm so glad you're here. You've embraced the technology and you're sitting there recording your music again, because it's so fucking easy now, and it gets
is.
addicting. You're like, oh my God, okay, now I can do this. Now I can do this. And you don't need anybody else, you know? I mean, you do, but you don't, you know,
Right.
like you can do a whole record yourself now.
So the goal is spend the next little, probably through the summer, getting this refined perfectly for their film, and hopefully they use it. There's a chance they won't.
Yeah.
And then just keep staying on, because now I'm addicted. Now I'm addicted to the
Yeah.
easy. There's symphonies, there's operas, there's concertos, there's etudes, there's sonatas, there's all kinds of stuff that I want to compose and just make kind of I want to come back into being a musician and having an identity with that. And
Right on.
now that I've sorted out all those personal issues that had me plagued for so many decades,
Right.
I'm in a place where I can do that and just make some music. And I've done a live show. I did my first one back in February, and I have another one coming up on July 13th here in Austin.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
I'll probably do another one at the end of the year, and we'll just see where this goes. Maybe I'll get some more work scoring films or like other media things, but I have the technology bug now.
Yeah.
So it's going to keep going.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I love it. Look, we're doing a podcast, you know. We're in a new world. Like, could you think about this in 2005? Like, think about this. 2005, man, that's so long ago now. But like, these didn't exist, you know, none of this. To record something, you had to go into a studio. You know, if you didn't have a Tascam 4-track.
I was gonna say the blue Tascam 4-track. You either had that, or you had to go spend $50,000 in a studio.
Yeah, there's no in between, and now you can pick up things like this and write a fucking symphony, you know, or whatever.
Well, I think that kind of access should it should be more inspiring to people to be creative. Because let me tell you something, all those years that I didn't create music after, you know, we stopped doing Razor 13, like a part of me died inside.
Sure, absolutely, 100%.
And I can tell you this, since we stopped playing in 2010, I've probably played guitar, something that I used to play up to 10 hours a day. I've probably played less than 20 hours since 2010.
Damn. I've done all kinds of stuff. I not as much as we played back then. I mean, I got this thing just sitting right here. You remember this thing?
Bass. Yes, I do.
Stripper bass.
That Schecter.
Yeah. But I still jam out a little bit. But like the stuff that's behind me, you know, all the Razor 13 gear and stuff, it doesn't get turned on as much as it should because I can just plug right into my computer now, and I don't need any of that. That's just there for memories now, I guess. And
sure. And it looks like a nice little shrine over there.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on over there.
Is that the Crepe Blue Voodoo you got from Doug?
Yep, that's a Crepe Blue Voodoo I got from Doug. Love it. On top of it's my rack unit for Razor 13. Yep, a shrine to the old days, and then that's Deadpool.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I have a little internet band with Al. Well, I wouldn't say we have the idea, and we were writing songs for a little while, and it was just all over the internet. Like they wrote some stuff over there in their studio, sent it to me. I'm playing on it, and I can send it back to them and just throw ideas back and forth, which is cool. So you need a bass line for something, you can shoot me some shit and I'll write one for you. But but besides that, you know, I got really deep into my YouTube channel, and
which is awesome, by the way, especially your hot Cheetos stir fry video. That's my favorite.
That's your favorite one?
Yeah.
I was just a weird idea. I was like, stir fry noodles, and they make these fucking flaming hot Cheeto macaroni. It was delicious too, by the way. Like that's some really, I don't know how they did that.
It was a good video. It actually, I told my sister when I talked to her earlier that it reminded me of the old Chad and Ryan show anyway.
Yeah, 100%. YouTube makes me.
Have you told anybody about the old Chad and Ryan?
I haven't talked about that. I still have that on VHS though, dude, and we should transfer that over to.
You totally should. That was epic shit, y'all little 13-year-old potheads.
Yeah. So he's referring to me and my buddy Chad, and we used to just get the fucking big camera or whatever, put it on top of the television, and we would record ourselves doing a show, and then we had skits and Stoner
It was
Steve.
trippy. It looked like a mushroom hallucinogenic trip, and you had some ambient music playing in the background, and it was brilliant.
We were weird children, and we would sometimes we'd do music videos, like dancing to, pretending to be in Metallica, and we'd just be jamming with air guitars and shit.
Look at you now. Now you're living the dream. Look at you in your headphones and your
living the dream, doing
mic.
Dude, you know what? And I think you've just given me a great idea for one of my next podcasts. I'm gonna get Chad on it and do the Chad and Ryan podcast. We'll just do a Chad and Ryan podcast. I haven't talked to him in a long time.
Show the world something that they never knew that they needed to see.
They never knew they needed. Like, on today on the 13, the Chad and Ryan show, and then we'll do skits, and it'll be fun. That could be fun. All right, man, dude, I've had a blast hanging out with you. I just want to see you more. So maybe we just Zoom just to Zoom. We don't even have to record it, but I do want to have you back on the podcast as soon as you have, as soon as you're ready to reveal the music that you're creating. I want to have you on and listen to it, and maybe talk about it and go from there.
Well, I'm currently working on building up a platform, and I guess you would say a database of music to release. So
badass. I'm fucking stoked, dude. I love you so much. Thank you for coming and doing this for me.
I love you too, Ryan. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, everybody. This has been Ryan Cook with Bones, and I hope you all have a great day. Stay safe. I'll talk to you all soon.